Thanks for joining us. I'm Kurt Bangert, and you have Reed Bangert and Brett Hodson and Kevin Edgington all here with us today. We use Zoom, as you can tell with our invite, and they let you put these cool backgrounds in the background. We thought we'd have a little bit of fun with it today, and but we're all working from home. We decided Monday that was the best course for our company and our people and companies. So we fortunately have moved into a cloud environment some time ago, and it really allows us to continue to operate as if we're all, in the office. And so it's pretty much business as usual with us, other than we're not heading into an office every day. So we thought about, there's a bunch of tools out there that you can use. We're going to reveal some things that you could do today that are very low cost or even no cost to you, and stuff that could help you navigate an environment where you need to be working outside of the office. So a lot of things you're probably already in the cloud. So if you're running some kind of field application, a Procore, something like that, that's already a cloud-based system. You're already in the cloud there. There's really nothing to do. If you have Office 365, which a lot of our customers do, that's also cloud-based. You can also access that out of the office. And there's some additional tools inside that group of software that we'll make you aware of because you may want to deploy them. And so what's least likely to be in the cloud, though, is your accounting software. And that one is most of our customers today still in an on-premise server. And that's probably the one thing that is the most challenging for most of our customers to be able to work remotely, is how do we keep our invoices flowing out the door, and our company operating, and our vendors paid, and deposits made, and all those kinds of things. So we'll focus on that part of it here today, along with some additional tools that you can use just to communicate with one another and make the best of the situation. So moving into a cloud environment is really fairly straightforward. We have a couple of vendors that we recommend that do cloud hosting services specifically for the Sage product lines. They know the Sage products, and our experience with them has been very, very good. What we normally do is we'll get you connected with those folks, make a decision what you feel is best. They can usually spin up the servers in pretty short order. And then what we do is, our part of it, what we help you with, is migrating your data properly from where it's at today into the cloud, such that you can all work remotely. So it's once that's done, it's pretty much flip the switch and continue as normal. Most of the time, and we haven't checked with them today, but most of the time they can have the server set up within about a day. Usually a migration, 4 to 6 hours. It depends a lot on the company. We have them that take less. We definitely have them that take more. If you've got a lot of data, multiple companies and things like that, it could take some more than the 4 to 6 hours, but that's a pretty good range for setting an expectation. So depending on scheduling and so forth, normally we could have you up in a cloud environment within a couple of days, and the mode we're in today is whatever it takes. If we can get you going quickly, we will absolutely make every effort to do that. So in that case, we'll work after hours, we'll work evenings and weekends to get you running. So the only downtime you would experience really is that time during the migration itself. So it's not a lengthy downtime. Once you're through the migration, it really operates as you expect and as it was. So there's really very little or no training or anything like that required. There are a few other benefits to getting into the cloud. One is you're going to have offsite backups automatically. And as much as we stress the importance of backups, it's still never fails to amaze me how often we run into situations where a backup is needed and it does not exist. So that's, I think, a significant advantage to being in the cloud. then of course it's anytime, anywhere access to your information. And of course your normal security settings still apply. So it's not like just anybody can get in there or people can go do things they couldn't do before or anything like that. But you can do your job from anywhere that you have an internet connection. So that I think is a massive advantage. Oftentimes, cloud hosting does reduce your internal IT expenditures. You really remove the need to do any kind of upgrades or any servicing on a server or anything like that, and they do guarantee uptime. And so we have a lot of customers that have already moved into a cloud environment. They all like it. So, that I think is a real advantage. The cost, the hosting vendors supply that cost. In the last year to year and a half, the cost of hosting has come down pretty significantly. I think it's quite affordable, and they charge you on a monthly basis. It's not, you don't have a big cash outlay to get this done. And the migration part of it, what we're doing is we're giving a 40% discount off our normal rates. And we're not going to charge any our standard premiums for night and weekend work. We want to cover our costs, but we don't. We're certainly not looking to take advantage of the situation at all. So we're providing a pretty significant discount. So in the meantime, if you have questions, you'd like to get connected, you want to investigate this, send us a message, and we will absolutely get right on that for you. So with that, let us know what you think. And
so Kevin, I wanted to maybe just reach out to you and give you the opportunity to kind of explain what the process of migration is, just sort of from a high level.
Sure. So the main thing is when we're looking at these cloud environments and so forth, basically the company, once we get all the paperwork figured out and pricing and so forth, they spin us up a server. Once they get a server spun up, we pretty much have access to it. So that's what actually I'm working on today is then I just remote in with the client and kind of look at their, moving all their data up to the hosted environment. The one I'm working on this morning, we're jumping from like version 18, or excuse me, like 16 to 19 or something like that. So we're doing an upgrade at the same time. But basically the longest part of it is usually just the amount of time of moving the data. In this case, I've upgraded some data. We're also moving from the older version of estimating to a SQL, so it's going to probably take us, most of the day. But like we had said in the slide there, 46 hours is probably a pretty good thing, but it just kind of depends on the time. And then what happens as far as the user's experience is, they have a little app on their machines that they basically just open up, and it actually shows them all the different applications. So just like you have a, desktop, Sage desktop icon on your system, it'd have the same type icon. You open it up, other than, how it looks there. That's really the biggest difference, because all the software, at least as far as the Sage environment goes, the experience is the same as your local environment.
And it looks like we do have a chat here.
Hey, I was just going to add to what Kevin just said. The one way that I describe this to people is that really the only thing that really changes is where your data and your programs are currently installed. The overall user experience of how you operate sitting in front of a computer really is very, very unchanged. Right, Kevin?
Correct.
So we do have a question from Andrew. How do file links work? And I'm going to go ahead and just open it up to allow everybody to talk now.
Yeah.
And so you can unmute yourself in the lower left-hand corner.
So there's a question also about, Kevin, do the ODBC connections work in imports and exports?
Yeah, so let's start at the top. So file links are basically, if we think about what those are in the 300 at least, that's basically just a pointer that points to a document somewhere. Just like any server migration, it's something that we have to think about of, migrating the documents over to the new environment, making sure to go through and update the links so they're pointing to the new location. So it is something that needs to be addressed during the migration and so forth to make sure that we, realize that we're using links and get them updated. But basically, at that point, it's just like a link works now. You click on it, and as long as the system knows that, oh, this is a PDF file or a Word document or Excel spreadsheet, it knows pretty much what to do with it at that point. Looks like Teresa's question about how do ODBC connections and imports, exports work. So the biggest thing with ODBC connections is a lot like you do now. So if I want to use ODBC, I might be using something like Office Connector. I might have something like an ODBC link to Microsoft Access or things of that nature. Basically, the main difference is I just need to have a copy of whatever that method is in that hosted environment. So it's very common to have like Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access, things of that nature possibly in that environment. And then it's exactly the same experience other than all your files are in this remote location instead of your own local machine. So there's no special need of the SQL replicator for it or anything of that nature, anything special. It's just a matter of making sure that we have, and a lot of the hosting companies include like Microsoft Excel in their prices. If I want Microsoft Access, I think some of them have additional fee. Some clients also have, like their subscription allows them to have 5 licenses. So they might have one on the local and one on the hosted environment for their licensing, is usually how those are taken care of. And let's see, migration process. Yeah, so the question was, does this include migration of products such as paperless? So sometimes we have to get other people to help us with the migrations in some cases. So a lot of time if somebody's got Sage Paperless, TimberScan, some of those type of things. But yes, we usually migrate all that information at the same time. So it's all in the same environment. So that's usually part of the migration process when we move everything to the hosted environments.
I see some other folks unmuted themselves. So if anybody has any other additional questions, you can feel free to unmute your microphone in the lower left-hand corner and ask away.
Well, if we don't have any further for
So
now.
there was a couple other questions. Says, would the migration only include current company data? If we move accounting, can we keep estimating on our server? And can you use unnamed files?
So you could migrate one and not the other. The only drawback with it is when you start talking about, especially accounting and estimating, because there is a link between them where you can transfer estimates to accounting and things like that. I probably wouldn't recommend it. That I'd probably recommend both being in the same environment. What was that second part that you mentioned, Brad?
It's in the Q&A button. I clicked on the Q&A button, Kevin.
Yeah.
There's like 4 questions in there.
Sure. Okay. Would the company, would the migration only include current company data? In most cases, no. Most of the time, if it's important enough to still have the company data on your menu, a lot of people have test companies. A lot of people have their previous years. A lot of the time, I want the experience to be a lot like it is now in your local. So that way, now it is also an opportunity that if somebody says, oh, I've got this data that's over 10 years and we don't need it anymore, there are times that we leave it on the side of the road and we don't bring it over. But a lot of the time, if they're critical enough that, I'm keeping them on the menu, I'm keeping them updated, sure, a lot of time we'll take them over. Can you use name files? That's still part of just the software itself. So whether you're using like new, current, or history, or whether you have the new name files on where you're selecting different months or quarters or however you name your naming convention, that's still all exactly the same experience as your local environment is now. Would Core have to be involved to continue using TimberScan? Core would have, usually we've been recommending that Core helps with the migration of the TimberScan to the hosted environments and so forth. So yes, if somebody's got TimberScan and we're going to a hosted environment, it's just like going to any other server, we get Core involved and they help us move, that aspect of it and so forth, which also kind of keep in mind, one of the other benefits to things like Core and some of those is just it also makes the products a lot more accessible by people outside the office. So a lot of people, when they have Sage right now, a lot of the time it's people in our office maybe has access, since a lot of these products are like little web apps or published apps or things like that, where maybe I log in through a log viewer or some of those type of things. It might make it where I can also let more people have access to the Sage and TimberScans and paperlesses to do, more processes too.
Yeah, so the question who are the hosting vendors? The primary one, the one we've had the best experience with so far is a company called MyCRE, and you can find them at mycre.com.
And to add to that, if we'll have a contact email here at the end of the slide, coordinator@vanguardinc.com. That's going to get you in touch with Hillary and Chase. They can they can get you connected with Holly Singer. She's super responsive over at MyCRE. I did send her an email this morning, and they are operating normally. They're prepared for migrations, and so they can get you all set up and hooked up pretty quickly.
And one small point, it's mycerecloud.com, one string.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Core Associates also did send out a COVID-19 email alert, just letting everyone know that they're prepared as well. So to answer that question there. We do have one that's just kind of lingering over in the chat panel over here. We have an in-house developed app that we.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay.
So we have an in-house developed app that we've developed on the program that moves the necessary information from Sage 300 into our proprietary software. So the biggest question there would be is for them to still have access to it, most likely we'd want that proprietary software loaded up, because other software in addition to Sage can be loaded in these, because they're basically same concept as your server. It's just, outside the office. So other software, products can also be loaded on it. So it would probably be just confirming with, the company that made that proprietary software of whether that can be moved and, the legality or the logistics of doing that and so forth.
Yeah. And then slowing down data entry, oftentimes it actually improves the speed of the system, we found. So you shouldn't see any slowdown in operation of the software.
And then I've just gone ahead and included a couple of links in the general chat panel. One is for coordinator@vanguardinc.com. It's going to be the quickest, fastest way to get in touch with them to schedule. And then mycrecloud.com as well, if you want to take a look at their website and read reviews and that kind of thing. It looks like we've got one more question over here in the Q&A.
Yeah, about slowing down data entry, and it really shouldn't slow down your data entry at all. We've had cases where it actually improves it because the servers in the cloud are faster than what you have on premise.
Okay.
And then also keep in mind that it also, one of the things that was mentioned is, not the need of having quite the brand new workstations and things of that nature, because all your work is really being done in these hosted environments. So that means that maybe I've got a Chromebook or, a machine that's a lot lesser horsepower, or it also is kind of handy if somebody's using Apples and things of that nature. So, I'm not limited to maybe the operating systems and the horsepower that maybe our product has, if I'm running it in the local environment too. So
yeah,
piece to keep in mind.
The estimate as far as charges, we don't sell those cloud services. So a range might be $70 to $110 a month. It just depends on a lot of other factors.
Per user.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have I just reached out to Holly Singer to see if she can provide just a ballpark quote for the 15 users. So maybe by the end of the session here today, we'll have an answer. She's pretty quick at responding.
Yeah. But I think if you were thinking, that 70 to 110 range is going to get you in the ballpark.
Is there any? Yep, it looks like we've got a question.
Yeah, from Jim Randall, one of our consultants, and it's a good point. Jim's bringing up the point that the more complex your current setup is, the longer the migration takes, and that's absolutely the case. So, if you have multiple companies and if you have just more data, more information, more applications, that 4 to 6 hour number is probably going to get exceeded. But that's something we will definitely have a conversation with you about before we ever start down the path. So you'll be fully informed before we ever flip the switch on anything, and before you commit to spending time and money on this. So. And Jim's making another point, which I will bring out as well, which is the level of technical support of the hosting company does make a big difference in terms of how easily these transitions are made. And again, our experience so far with MySiri has been exceptional. And I would certainly concur with Jim's comment that there are companies we've worked with before. We've had customers find kind of their own hosting company, and oftentimes those are far more time consuming just because the firm they have servers, but they've never worked in the Sage world before, so it just takes longer to get them done. And that's why we're kind of recommending a company that has experience with the Sage product lines.
So everyone can continue to ask questions about, just the migration process and all of that stuff. But I wanted to take folks through a couple of productivity tools that we found beneficial, that I think you will find beneficial as well. And we'll just go ahead and start with remote desktop here. So if you're looking for something that's quick, simple, hey, I need to get my employees out of the office today. They still need to be able to access their system. Google Chrome Remote Desktop, it does require the Chrome browser, but you can link up any computer with your Google account, with your Chrome account, and it's a pretty slick system. I think Kevin and I set it up in about 5 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're looking to get your employees out of the office and work from home, this is a very quick, simple application, easy to set up. Again, all of these apps that I'll show you today, they either have really simple setup, they're free or very low cost, and or they just have really good knowledge base and setup guides and things like that. We actually had a customer contact Brett about, hey, this is what we're doing for remote time tracking for folks on job sites and employees. And so I've thrown a couple of options out here. The first, if you're a Microsoft 365 user or a Microsoft 365 organization, there's something called the Microsoft Kazala, I believe. It's a interesting little app, actually. It came out of their Garage program. And I just wanted to kind of show you what you can do with that app real quick. So I'll go ahead and set up my
yeah, it's really, really easy to deploy, and you can think of it kind of like a company strength web, phone, text, and communication tool.
So I'm in the mobile app right now. You can set up groups for your organization. You can set up subgroups for your organization, and admins can send requests to certain people. So if I'm in my Bangor Inc. Group here and I need Brett to check in, I'm just gonna request Brett's attendance. I need him there at Brett, I need you there at 1:30. And I want him to respond with a photo, so go ahead and send a request to him, and then he can mark his attendance. There is also you can set up basically custom actions within here. So I can, if I'm the employee, I can send to my group, and I can say, hey, I'm here, and I'm at my house, and I'm present. And then they can just go back in and clock out when they're done. Now, this doesn't integrate with your Sage system, but it is a really quick fix, a quick turnaround if you do need to track some time and log it, and you want to get away from manual timesheets.
And just a group communication tool that can be used for texting or messaging. It's a secure platform. And so, it's more robust than just doing text messages, over cellular.
Yep.
So pretty simple, straightforward. If you're not a Microsoft 365 user, there's a really simple application called Simple In Out. You can set up a quick geofence, so your user doesn't even have to log in. They can just have the app on their phone, and you can quickly invite users in mass here as well. Looks like I logged out, but it's a 45-day free trial, no credit card required, and it's pretty simple and straightforward.
Just seeing you. I'm not seeing your screen anymore, Reed.
Yeah,
Oh.
screens. Yeah, share your screen again.
Sorry about that. All right. This is the
And-
simple.
Yeah.
This is the simple in-out app. You can go into the back end, set up a geofence like I did here at our headquarters in Olathe, and you can set up multiple geofences if you would like. So that way, as soon as somebody enters the job site, they're on time. It looks like I logged out, but you can easily add users as well. En masse, you can just type in your whole organization email list, hit send. They've got really simple iOS apps, and it's free for 45 days. So I'm going to move on to, let me just put that on the bottom there.
we're
going to move on. Go ahead.
Currently throwing these things out there. They could be quick fixes for a problem today. And so there you go.
Yep, absolutely. And if you want a longer term solution that does integrate with your Sage products, there's 2 products we recommend. One is HH2, easy time report, entry and reporting, things like that that can integrate with Sage, as well as Exact Time. Again, it's a mobile job clock, mobile time clock, expense management, and things like that. So those are 2 longer term solutions. Because they do integrate, they take a little bit longer, but HH2 is going to be your quickest in about a week. And then Exact Time, you can start using it in about a week, but it's about a 6-week long implementation.
Hey, one quick thing about the HH2 guys is that the way their product is licensed and sold, it's a month to month based on how many, in case of payroll time, how many employees you're processing through it. What's really, really nice about these guys is they make it really easy to do business. To get started, they charge you for the first month, and then it's a month-to-month type thing. So no long-term contract. Trainings included in the price. So again, if you guys want to look at it, just shoot us a note to the coordinator, and we can set up a meeting and demo and quote for you guys.
So let's go back to just meeting, phone, chat, things like that. We use Zoom here at Bangert, and we actually transitioned. Zoom is a great platform for meetings, webinars, so it's what we're using today, and also phone. They also have chat enabled on there, and we reduced our expenditure in those 4 categories by 68% by switching to Zoom. It's something you can get started with right away in your organization. The migration for your phone system is really simple, really straightforward. They've got great customer support. They have great account managers, and we couldn't be more thrilled with them. So Zoom's a great alternative to whatever you may be using now, but it allows our team to stay connected through video and through chat. Basically while we're working remotely here.
Yeah. And I just from my standpoint, I will say I think it's important that we all stay connected as a company with our coworkers, and the video and so forth really helps that a lot. We've been
And our customers.
heavily, and our customers. So it's when we can't be face to face, it certainly helps out a lot. Would highly recommend it.
And then you also have things like Workplace for Facebook. We don't utilize it in-house. We did a couple of years ago. But again, that's if you've got a lot of folks who are on Facebook, it's a very familiar UI to folks, and easy to set up a remote, sessions and conferences and things like that that are interactive in a multi-communication environment. Collaboration tools, obviously you have Microsoft 365, that's the gold standard, but I did want to introduce everybody to Zoho. We use Zoho for pretty much all of our cloud integration products. They've got a really, really great communication platform called Click. It's very affordable, but you can start groups, you can have conferences, video conferences from in here, you can make calls directly to people. Again, it's a very affordable solution, and it's a solution that we utilize every single day.
Hey, Reed.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say Click is kind of like Slack also? People might have heard of
Yeah.
Slack.
Yep, absolutely. Click is like Slack. It's probably more competitive price-wise than Slack is, and they have, this is one component of many that Zoho offers, from sales and marketing to email and collaboration, and human resources and even finance as well. But also G Suite. We use G Suite for things like documents, Excel sheets. We use it for email. It's a
Calendar.
our calendar. And it's a really easy collaboration tool as well. So we just want to let you know that there's options out there. These things are all things that you can deploy today and be up and running in a matter of hours. So I figured I would just spend a little bit of time. We've got a great group of contractors online here today. I believe everybody has access to talk. I didn't know if anybody wanted to talk about, what other companies are doing for their COVID-19 responses and what you all are doing, but I figured this would be a great opportunity to do so.
Any further questions or anything at all? Let us know how we can help. Hopefully some of this information is helpful to you. And the majority of the things we've discussed today, we don't sell, we don't have financial interest in it at all. We just want to be helpful. So I would, recommend, ask a question now or get in touch with us and we will get right back to you. So